Hello, welcome to my class today. If you haven't taken a class with me before, my name is Susie. Wonderful to meet you virtually. If you have not taken a class with me before, I will just tell you a tiny bit about myself. I've been teaching for 7 years now, and my main goal in my teaching is to lead a practice that is for everyone, all ages, all body types, all abilities, and that is safe for everyone. So we're going to start slowly and work very gently. And since it is virtual, I'm not in the room with you, please respect your body and move gently into poses without forcing, without judging, without expecting any particular result. And that's a good way to keep your awareness in the present moment of what's happening with your body, with your breath, and it's a good way to stay safe. So for today, you might want a block or something similar to a block that you might have around the house. If you don't have yoga blocks, you could use a folded blanket or a cushion, something around this height or even a little taller. If you have 2 yoga blocks, that's great, but we're going to start using 1. Some people might want to use some kind of cushion. I have a yoga bolster here, which I will show. It's an option if you need it. You could always use a cushion from your couch or something like that. So let's get started. It's a 45-minute class. So I'm thinking of, maybe at a lunch break or any time during the day when you have a break and you just want to check in with yourself and tune in to what's going on. And then you can get back to work or whatever it is you're doing the rest of the day. So we're going to start in a child's pose with the knees wide apart. So if you have your prop, you can put it in front of you and kneel with the knees wide apart, feet touching. So the inner big toes are touching. And if you find that when you go into this pose with the body going forward, your hips lift up quite a bit, this is when you could use your cushion. If it's available, you would just put the cushion right here, and then the hips have something to rest on. That's just an option. If you don't need that, you don't have to use that. We're just going to come down, and this prop is going to be for your forehead. So you might need to adjust it a little bit. You would have it under your forehead, but not under the nose. So the nose and mouth are free to breathe. So it's a little bit up past the nose. And at first when you come down, just take a minute to settle in. Taking a couple big breaths in and out through the nose. And make any adjustments that you need. Letting the hips release back towards the heels any amount. So we'll change this position a little bit and stay here for a few more breaths. First thing you're going to do is make sure your elbows are in pretty close, shoulder width, no more than shoulder width. And then lift the hands. So you're bending at the elbows. For a moment, just walk the elbows a little bit forward to make sure you're really lengthened out there. Release the head back down to your prop. If this is too low, you could always turn it up any height. And then we're interlacing the fingers and resting the hands on the back of the head. And then just continuing with the breath a little bit longer. On each inhalation, send the breath into the back ribs, so the upper part of the back. Imagine you're just inhaling into that area. Expanding a little bit. And then on each exhale, send the hips further back, releasing them back over the heels any amount. And continue releasing. Back. Sorry for the phone. I should have turned that off, sorry. Inhaling, expanding the ribs. Exhale, releasing them. One more breath like this. And then slowly lengthen the arms out, crawling the fingertips forward any amount. And then press the fingertips down, cup the palms up off the mat. The arms lift a little bit. And then just imagine you have balloons underneath the armpits that are just lifting the armpits up even more. So the shoulders might move up past your ears a little bit. A couple more breaths like this. And then release the hands down. Start to walk the hands back so you come up to sit. So now we'll come to a seated position. You can sit any way you like. You can sit up on something. You can kneel. You can sit cross-legged. Any way that you can sit for a few minutes. And we'll practice a mudra here with a couple more moments of breathing. So I'll explain the mudra and show it from here, and then I'll come closer to the camera so you can see my hands really specifically. But it's pretty simple. I'm going to start with the palms pressing together, and then the knuckles are just going to go out. Just bend them out. Make sure the pinky side edge of the hand is still touching. So you're forming like a little space in between your hands. Then you take your two thumbs and reach the thumbs into that space all the way to touch the pinkies inside this little space. So this is called the gesture of the inner self. I'm going to come closer to the camera so you can see my hands exactly how I'm doing it. So on this side, it looks like this. Drag that phone. So the tips of the thumbs are reaching all the way in and touching the pinkies. So, gesture of the inner self. I'm going to use this as a little bit of a reminder to focus inward and use this time to check in with yourself. Maybe think about what you want to get out of the practice today. When the practice is over, what would you like to come away with? Could be something really simple. Could be, I just want to do some yoga poses. It doesn't have to be anything lofty or fancy. Or it could just be, I just want to give myself a break, a little recharge in the middle of the day. Whatever it is, it's perfectly valid for you. I'm going to raise this gesture, this mudra up, so that little inner space is right in front of your brow bone. It's a little bit above the nose. And then just sitting up tall, breathe in and out through the nose a few times, focusing on that little area on the brow bone in the middle, right where that third eye chakra is. One more breath here. And then place the mudra right in front of your throat. You can keep the eyes closed or half closed. And we'll just take maybe 3 breaths here, focusing in on the throat chakra. And then slowly release the hands and rest the hands down on your lap for a couple moments and just take a couple regular, normal breaths. If you were sitting up on something, try to come to sit all the way down on the floor with the legs out in a straddle. It doesn't have to be a super wide straddle, just a nice V shape. And check and see if you can sit up straight. If you have trouble sitting up straight all the way down on the floor, this is another time you could take your cushion or even a block and sit up on it. Otherwise, we're going to just be sitting up straight with the legs straight. And keep your hands on the floor in front of you, but they're not planted down. They might move a little bit when we do this. We're just going to circle the upper body around like so a few times, just kind of stirring the pot, so to speak. You'll feel it all the way down into the hip sockets. And the hands are there to support you. And as I said, they might move around a little bit as needed. Go a few times one way and then switch and go a few times the other way. And just continue breathing. I will cue the breath as we go through class. However, if it's not the right rate or rhythm of breathing for you, you're always free to breathe as you need. For most of the beginning of class, most of the class period, we just want to keep breathing. So don't worry about so much matching inhale and exhale. If you can, great, but don't worry about it as long as you continue to breathe. And for a few moments at the end of class, we'll do a little bit of breath work, which I'll get into later, where you might actually hold the breath for a very short amount of time. But for now, just continuously breathe. So from here, we're just going to sit up straight and just do a couple really simple twists. So your left hand reaches across to the outside of the right leg, right hand behind, sitting up straight, just twist around gently. First, twist we're going into, so don't overdo it. We never want to overdo something. We want to build up gradually to a little more intensity. Just one more time each side. Just a gentle twist. Good. And then facing forward again, we'll do a side stretch now. So reach your right hand towards your right foot, either the foot, ankle, calf, wherever your hand can go easily. And then we're going to take the other arm, your left arm, reach it up overhead. So we're stretching sideways. So you can think of this leg, this arm, and the top arm all being in the same plane vertically this way. And this hand just keeps reaching past the foot. And take a couple breaths here, feeling this opening along the side of the body here. You might also feel it in your hamstring a little bit, anywhere. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, so just always note where you feel any stretching, opening, intense work, less intense work, whatever. We're just wanting to focus in on whatever comes up as we go through our poses. Side stretch to the other side, left hand to left foot or calf or ankle, and then right arm up over and start to stretch sideways this way. Couple breaths. Inhale, come all the way up to sit. Now, tuck your hands underneath the knees and pull the knees in a little bit. The legs are still out at this straddle, in this kind of straddle position, with the knees bent. Bring the feet in close enough and see if you can hook your fingers over the tops of the toes, like this. So, if that's difficult, you can always do this just still holding on behind the knees, like so. I'm going to hook the hands onto some part of your leg. And then make sure you're re-lengthening the spine. So sometimes when we reach forward, we kind of round the spine. We want to re-lengthen it and straighten it out. Take a big breath in. And then on your exhale, start to push the feet away and see how far forward you can let that movement take you in the upper body. So it might take you might not straighten the legs all the way. You might stop somewhere around here. Just feeling the upper body starting to fold forward. And again, keeping the spine nice and long and straight. And then come right up to sit once again. Now we'll go to our tabletop position. So swing the legs around behind you and come to your tabletop. Make sure your shoulders are over your wrists, hips over knees, and we'll start with a cow-cat movement to begin with. So I'd like to tuck the toes, just to start to stretch out the bottoms of the feet a little bit. So you can try that or keep them pointed. Either way, we're going to inhale for cow here, looking up, letting the back arch, pointing the tailbone up. And then exhale, reverse everything. Push the floor away, scoop the belly up, round the spine, tuck the tailbone underneath. And then continue. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Inhaling and exhaling. And then finally, after a cat spine, point the toes and push back just for a moment to child's pose. So the knees are closer together now than they were, just kind of parallel. And to take a moment to rest right there. Good. So when you're ready, coming forward again to your tabletop, from here we'll step to a high plank. So we're going to reach one leg back, the other leg back, high plank. Think of cinching around your core to support the center of the pose. And then from that center, reach back through your heels, as well as up through the top of the head to lengthen out. Hold one more breath. And then drop the knees down and back, just wherever they land. Start to shift the hips back. We're going to come to a puppy pose. So the hips are not going to lower down towards the heels like we did before. We're going to keep them up. So you might need to walk the knees back a little bit more. You might need to walk the hands forward a little bit more until you can reach this place where you can bring the upper body in line with the arms. And taking a couple breaths here, lengthening back through the spine as you reach forward with the hands. So it's like a mini down dog, so we call it puppy. Trying to get a long diagonal line through the upper body and the arms. And then we'll extend our puppy a little bit, which means we're seeing, just experimenting, maybe dropping the forehead towards the floor. Letting the back arch a little bit now. Sit bones angle up. Maybe the chest also drops down towards the floor. Maybe just stay on the forehead. And then push into your hands to lift back up to your original puppy position. Now we'll move forward. So planting the forearms down, bend the elbows. Come to a forearm plank for just a moment. So here, shoulders are over the elbows, reach the legs back. Forearm plank for a moment. Same thing as in our high plank, reaching back through the heels, up through the crown of the head, head in line with the spine. Feel how the lengthening helps you cinch around the center. Hold the core engaged as you slowly lower down onto the floor. Point the toes and you end up in your Sphinx pose. Let's just take a couple moments in Sphinx. Toes are pointed, feet are pressing down into the floor. Face and sternum lifting up towards vertical, respecting your lower back, right? So don't force too much of a back bend if your lower back is maybe not ready for that. So we just want to respect that. Notice in this Sphinx position, we are in somewhat of a back bend. So now we're going to try to keep the chest, shoulders, head lifted up as we slide the hands back. Slide the hands back to right beside your lower ribs. Inhale, lift up any amount more, small cobra. Exhale, release down. Lengthen the neck, reach the head forward even more. Roll the shoulders down and back. Hug the elbows in. And once again, peel up, cobra. Maybe a little bit higher if that feels right for you. And then exhale down. Straighten arms back alongside you. Inhale, head, chest, shoulders, arms, and now legs also lifting off the floor. So keep the legs straight. Try to lift the whole leg up off the floor for your locust. We'll hold this a couple breaths. If you want to challenge yourself some more, you can reach the arms forward, continue lifting, or keep them back alongside you. Either way, lifting up into your cobra. And then on an exhalation, release everything down to the floor, fold one hand on top of the other, and rest down. Let the legs relax, maybe wiggle the legs and hips side to side. Slowly make your way back to tabletop position towards the front of your mat. Setting up in your stable table again. We're going to reach the right leg back. So toes are tucked on the floor at first, and we're just pushing through that back heel, stretching out the back of the leg. And then from here, all we're going to do is turn that right leg out. So toes come up off the floor, and the hip lifts up a little bit on that side. And then we come back down. We're just doing a little turn of the leg 2 or 3 times. Next time you turn the leg, foot is off the floor, reach it back a little bit further. You can look back at that foot and plant it down. So now it's behind your other foot. The toes of your front foot are pointing towards the heels of the back foot. We're just going to turn to a modified side plank. So this back foot is planted down like the back of a warrior pose foot. Whole sole is pressing down, especially the outer edge of the foot. So from here, top arm can lift and stretch out over the top ear to lengthen out. And then take that top arm and take it around and drop it behind your back. So the back of the hand might come to the buttock of this bottom leg, your left leg. So from there, we're just using that point of contact to check in how much we can move this bottom hip in underneath us to come to a more sideways position, right? The more it pokes out behind us, the more we're kind of not in a completely sideways position. So we want to push that hip, the sitting bone, whatever works for you to think of bringing that underneath you, and then you turn more sideways. And you might even feel like turning enough, you could even look up. Couple breaths. And then take that top arm all the way around, place it back on the floor, and then come back to your tabletop. So a cow and cat here. Inhale, exhale. And then back to neutral spine. Stretch your left leg back. Just going to swivel like this. So I'm not going to turn away from the camera too much. So same thing now with the left leg. We're just going to turn the leg out. It's okay if the left hip hikes up a little bit when you turn. Don't worry about that. Just turn the foot out. Notice the whole leg turns with the foot. Good. Next time, foot turns out. Reach it further back and place it down behind the toes of your right foot. And then turn to your modified side plank on this side. Same way, pushing down through the outer edge of your back foot. Top arm can reach over. A breath or two there, and then take the top arm and drop it under, behind your back. So it's kind of pressing against the right buttock now, or kind of the upper part there, wherever your hand hits. It's not really that you're pushing with the hand so much as just noticing as your hand stays there, how much you can draw that hip in underneath you. Or maybe think of it being pulled from the front, whatever works to make sure you're coming to a sideways position and maybe looking up. Sometimes when we look up, balance is a little more challenging. So just Checking it out. And then finally, top arm circles all the way around, coming back down, and then back to your tabletop. Point the toes and go back to child's pose for just a moment. And rest in your child's pose. So from here, we're going to come up and back to our downward facing dog. From your tabletop, come back, shoulders over wrists, reach one leg back, other leg back, and then finally push the hips up and back to come to your downward facing dog. Take a moment pedaling out the feet. One heel presses down as the other knee bends. And then start to walk the feet forward towards your hands. You can also walk the hands back towards the feet. Shaking out the head, yes and no. You can hold on to opposite elbows. Just letting the weight of the spine get tractioned out. Finally, keeping the knees bent, feet apart. Start to lift yourself up to about a neutral spine, so head comes in line with the spine. And we're going to use the hands for a little bit of support to push us up to stand. So I know I'm cut off in the head a little bit here, but we're going to go back down towards the floor, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Stand in Tadasana, inner big toes touch, a little bit of space between the heels. Inhale, the arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward, reaching for the floor. If it's difficult to keep the legs straight in a forward fold, you can always bend the knees. Right now, we're going to lift up halfway. Trunk comes parallel to the floor. So you might be able to straighten the legs for a moment or almost straighten them, lengthening the spine forward, and then exhale, fold again. Hands on the floor. Inhale, step your right foot back. And exhale, drop the right knee to the floor. Inhale up, crescent lunge. Exhale, the hands down either side of the front foot. Inhale, tuck the back toes and straighten out the back leg. And exhale, turn the foot down, just like we did in our modified side plank. It's going to be the back foot of our warrior two pose now. Push into that front foot to lift yourself up in the upper body to vertical and come to your warrior two. This is Oreo. So here, we're going to stay in warrior two for a couple moments. Think of the front knee traveling straight forward. Outer knee, think of it as being connected to the pinky toe here. So the knee stays pushing out a little bit. Arms out, gazing over the front hand. One more breath. And then on an inhalation, straighten the front leg and reach down the back leg. Tipping back, left arm goes up and over, reverse triangle. And then exhale, coming forward. Now the left forearm goes on top of the left thigh. And we're coming to extended side angle. Different options here. Top arm can reach forward over the top ear, or can reach back around. You can use that hand back there, that point of contact, in the same way as before, thinking of the left buttock moving in underneath you, any amount more. So the pelvis comes to sort of line up this way along the long side of your mat. You can stay like that, or the top hand might come all the way around and tuck here to the top of the thigh for a half bind. You do a full bind. You can put this hand down to a block or the floor if you like, or you could just stay here, thinking of spinning the chest up towards the ceiling. Any amount. And then release the top hand all the way down, swivel onto the ball of the back foot, and step that back foot forward. Come to a forward fold for a moment. Want to, you can flip the hands to the back so the hands are pressing down. Just to stretch out the wrists for a moment. And then bend the knees, sitting back, hands on top of the legs above the knees, and push yourself back to stand. Finding your Tadasana, mountain pose again. Inhale the arms up, and exhale, fold. Bending the knees as needed. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold again. Inhale, set the left leg back. Exhale, drop the knee to the floor. Inhale up, crescent lunge. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, tuck the back toes and straighten the back leg. Exhale, plant the heel down so the foot comes down. Back foot of your warrior two pose. Again, I'm just swiveling so I can face a little bit more towards the camera. So come to our warrior two on this side. Again, check the knees going straight forward, not collapsing in. Back leg strong, pushing down through the outer edge of the back foot. Reaching the arms wide, gazing over the front hand. One more breath. And then inhale, tip back, reverse triangle, reaching down the back leg. Exhale, coming forward, bending the front knee again, extended side angle on this side. Again, you can check in with the different options for this top arm. If you like it, just reaching forward, you can keep it there, drop it behind you. Think of tucking now the right buttock in underneath you, any amount more. And then maybe turning the chest towards the ceiling, maybe finding your bind. Any option that you like. And then finally, top arm releases all the way around, swivel onto the ball of your back foot. And this time we'll step back to downward facing dog. And drop both knees to the floor. Bring the knees close together this time and go back to your child's pose here. So with the knees closer together, the spine actually rounds a bit when you're in child's pose. That's okay. You can always, again, support under your head if that feels better. Or just rest in nice basic child's pose for a couple more breaths. And then slowly come up to sit. So we're going to finish doing a little bit of pranayama, a little bit of breath work, and then we'll lie down on the floor to finish finally and do our Shavasana. So if you would like to do the breath work lying down, you can. If you think that'll help you focus on the breath a little bit more, you could just lie down on your back. Or I'm going to demonstrate everything sitting up. You can stay seated if you prefer. So come to a comfortable seat or lie down on your back if you wish. So for this pranayama, it's going to start off very simply. It's called Samavriti pranayama. There are different sort of levels to it. We're just going to start with the first level and maybe go to the second one. We'll see how it goes. The important thing is to always just notice how you're doing and without forcing. So if you feel that you're getting out of breath or it's making you feel anxious in any way, sometimes you even feel anxious, like you're not doing it right. It doesn't matter, okay? You're doing it right. Don't worry about that. You can always stop and just go back to a normal breath for a little while and then rejoin me when you feel ready. So there's no pressure, and it's all about just noticing how you feel when you're doing it. So Samavriti, the first step we're going to do is just inhaling and exhaling the same length of time. So we're going to count to 4 with each inhale and then 4 for each exhale. And that's all it is. So breathing in and out through the nose, unless you're super congested and you need to breathe through your mouth, then you breathe through your mouth. You can keep your eyes closed or open. If you keep your eyes open, just let the eyelids sort of become heavy and just gaze down softly at the floor. So you're not really trying to see anything. And, I'm not really doing anything besides breathing, so you don't need to watch me so much as just listen. So take a couple regular breaths. And then I'm going to start to count for the inhale and the exhale. So on your next inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Do this about 8 times. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. 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 And then release the counting of the breath and just breathe normally for a few cycles. A certain dog needs to go out for a walk. So let me just get her out here. Quiet, go. All right. In the future, I'll try to here someplace. All right, so now you might have noticed when you're breathing, in fact, we do this all the time when we're breathing just throughout our daily lives. There's a tiny bit of a pause in between when you inhale and when you exhale. And then again, between when you exhale and you inhale. A little bit of a pause when you're not doing either inhaling or exhaling. So what we're going to do now, this is the second level of Samvriti pranayama. We're going to just emphasize a little bit more that pause after you inhale before you start to exhale. So we're going to hold that breath in for just one count. All right, so we'll still inhale for 4, and then hold for 1, and then exhale for 4. So there's the only difference, a little bit of a hold in between. As I said before, if you ever feel that it is making you out of breath, you're not getting enough air, then just let it go and go back to your normal breath for a few rounds or the whole rest of the time, whatever works for you. So take a couple big breaths to prepare. And then our next inhalation, I'll start counting again. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Again, we'll do about 8 rounds. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 2. Last one, inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 2, 3. And then let go of the counting. Let go of the idea of controlling your breath so much and just breathe normally. And now we're going to finish up by lying down on the back, last few minutes. So go ahead and lie down this way. And start by hugging the knees in towards you. So just hugging the knees in. And then let the knees go enough. You can slide the hands around behind the knees and just straighten the legs straight up. So you can either just bring the legs up as far as you can to vertical. If they're not completely vertical, you can still use your hands to support with. Bring them in a little closer. It's not a huge stretch, but if you want to stretch the backs of the legs a little bit by pulling your legs in, you can do that as well. Just letting the legs be upside down for a couple moments. Then bend the knees and plant the feet down, hip width apart, parallel. Hands come down alongside you, palms pressing down, or you can hold onto the edges of your yoga mat. Walk the feet in any amount closer to you that you can. And then push into the feet, lift the hips up off the floor for your bridge position. Take about 3 breaths here. And then slowly lower down. Plug the knees in again. And then let your right leg go. So you're still holding on to that left leg. With the right hand, guide the knee across. So you come into your twist. Looking behind yourself. So away from the direction of your leg. The top leg that's going over. And a couple breaths here in your twist. Slowly rolling onto the back. Hug both knees in again. And then let the left leg go. Left hand takes the right knee across into your twist on this side. Rolling onto your back. One more time. Hug both knees in and rock side to side a few times. And then it's time to set up for Shavasana. So letting the legs stretch out on the floor. Give them a good stretch and then let them relax. The feet might roll open a little bit. Let them do that if it feels natural. Arms down, angled slightly away from the body, palms up. Take a moment to make sure you feel comfortable. Sometimes I have to kind of tuck the pelvis under a little bit more. If I feel my lower back is kind of popping up off the floor a little bit, I'll do that. Maybe tuck the shoulders in underneath you a little bit more. And then we'll just be staying here in Shavasana for a few moments. And let's start with centering breath. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling softly through the mouth. Do that about 3 to 4 breath cycles. And then go back to breathing in and out through the nose. You can stay resting in Shavasana. I'm going to sit up so I can keep an eye on how we're doing with our time. Just letting yourself have a moment to just do nothing. You know, we're so busy doing things all day long. It's nice to not have to do anything. Do as little as possible and just be for these next few moments. So it has been 45 minutes since we started class. We have 15 more minutes of the cool down period. We can stay for a few more minutes, but if you were on a tight schedule and you need to know that 45 minutes have passed, I'm letting you know if you need to get up and go on with your day. Otherwise, I am going to sit and hold the space for you for a few more moments in Shavasana. So please continue to rest. And then I'll let you know when we can sit up and finish class together. So Shavasana is a beginning of a meditation practice. Really, this would be an ideal time to, when we finish Shavasana, actually try to meditate for maybe 5 to 10 minutes if you have the time. Shavasana itself is sort of this gray area before you before you really start to meditate. Sometimes we have thoughts in Shavasana. We're not trying to resist the thoughts. They come and they go. The first step might be to just detach ourselves from thoughts for a moment. In other words, don't react so much to them. Don't let them, cause you to start to become anxious about something you need to do later, for example. Rather just notice, oh, I'm having that thought about that thing, and I'll deal with that later when I'm done with my practice. In that way, we start to maybe detach from the thoughts a little bit, and that's good practice for when we try to meditate, when we try to continue in that practice. Otherwise, sometimes when we're in Shavasana, we kind of zone out, or even go to sleep. And that's totally fine as well. If you go to sleep in this short amount of time lying on the floor, speaking from personal experience, it means you need more sleep. If you're a little bit sleep deprived, if you can fall asleep that fast. So try to go to bed a tiny bit earlier. Maybe every night go a little bit earlier to bed until you're getting a little more sleep. Start to take a couple deeper breaths and then stretch out your fingers and toes, wiggle them around a little bit. And then as soon as you're ready, bend your knees and roll over onto your left side if possible. When you roll over to the left side, the right side of the body becomes more activated. The right side of our body is the yang side, so we want to not go to sleep right now because it's the middle of the day, at least when I'm teaching this originally. You want to go on with the rest of your day with a little more energy. If you were doing this in the evening, maybe close to bedtime, then you would roll to your right side and the left side of your body would be more activated so that you would go into a more relaxed state. So push yourself up to a seated position. You can keep the eyes closed or half closed as you like. And gently press the palms together. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for class today. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.